This is Iron Lateran. He is a realistic, medieval, lore-locked, hardcore Iron Man. This means that he can't use magic, can't runecraft, and can't use any magical items or teleports. My goal is to explore the world of Runescape from the perspective of a scholar of literature and medieval lore, and see how much of the game matches the medieval world and how much is high fantasy. This experiment will go for as long as is needed for me to find the answers, but in the meantime, I have monsters to kill, heathens to persecute, lessons to learn. Pizza is not consistent with a medieval-only RPG, and quests to complete. Enjoy. A peaceful walk through the village square of this absolutely realistic medieval town. Look at those realistic banners and the way that the building realistically disappears if I look at it from the wrong angle. So while I'm working on the sheep here real quick, let me just make a quick comment on common land. In RuneScape, you have all these farms that are sort of fenced in. You wouldn't necessarily see fences for it. You would just go and work public land and take from that area what you needed, okay? It wasn't until, you know, lords and nobles and people with money and armies started fencing off areas and saying, no, you can't go here, this is mine, that this public land system sort of died in medieval Europe. So this is actually the most realistic part of the game so far as the medieval world goes. So I misclicked and I now have pizza instead of bread. Bread dough. I want bread dough. Just bread dough. I don't even know what pizza is. Pizza is not consistent with a medieval only RPG. So this pizza unfortunately has to go. We need to be 5 smithing, right? So that's what we're gonna aim for, 5 smithing. I don't know off the top of my head exactly how much ore that's gonna be, but I'm just gonna mine a ton of it. Okay, awesome, this is exciting. I've actually been really looking forward to this. First clue. Clues, super medieval lore friendly. We always have this picture of, like, you know, somebody finding a map and going off for some grand quest. I don't think there's a lot of real historical basis for this. Except for the fact that maps were considered more valuable than gold by traders or pirates. Anybody who was getting a hold of goods would kill for a good map. So to me, that's kind of what these clue scrolls represent in the lore, is a discarded fragment of a map that perhaps leads you to some place that you didn't know of before. Okay, the hardest one here is gonna be probably the sapphire necklace. The coifed steel plate skirt I can make. Okay, wow, like right after that one, beginner clue scrolls. So let's open it up. Might be easier. Let's see. Okay, again with the jewelry, I think there's a quest that we can do towards Death of the Dorgeshin to get a hold of all the jewelry that we need. Okay, let's talk about barbarians for a hot minute. The word barbarian comes from an old joke that I believe originated in the Latin. I'd have to double check this, but basically they thought that anybody who didn't speak Latin that sounded like bar, and that's literally where barbarians got their name. It was people who spoke with a nasty tongue, basically. And I wish I was joking, but I'm 99% sure. I'd have to go double check that etymology, but I'm 99% sure that that's essentially where the name came from. Same with the word moron, comes from the Moors, meaning you are like the Moors. You are stupid, barbarian, whatever. To the Romans, a barbarian was just anybody who wasn't Roman, okay? And this idea of roaming barbarian hordes really comes from the mythology of the Romans. Remember, barbarians are not a disorganized group of people. They just didn't do things the same way. Oh, the Romans were the best fighting force in the world. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, for a time, but they did lose to the Gauls and the Franks. Just because an army is super strong in one regard doesn't mean that every other army is disorganized. Oh, what is that? Oh, I have to go deal with this for a minute. Hail, horrible rabbit man. You are an abomination against God. Oh, look at him, he's so ugly. Know that you and your satanic kind will be put down. Peace be with you, rabbit man. May God have mercy on your soul. This guy agreed with me, what? Okay, I hadn't thought about this yet. Random events, like the sandwich lady. Is it acceptable for the medieval lore only Iron Man to take food or other goods from them? I would say if the random event is lore friendly, alright? So, if you don't know, the word sandwich gets its name from, I believe, the Earl of Sandwich, Sandwich being a place. He happened to like his cheese and bread and meat all together in one thing that later became known as the sandwich in Western culture. No, bread roll. Bread roll, I'm gonna have to say this is a bread roll, right? Yes, okay, good. I honestly forgot which was which for a half minute. Ah, yes, Captain Arav, excellent. He might actually give me the jewelry that I need. So, he has this accent. Ah, hello there, laddie. I've just dug up an old treasure chest of mine, right? He has the pirate accent, right? Oh, these old hands of mine. That accent was not specific to pirates, right? That comes from actually Robert Newton, an actor who portrayed Long John Silver in 1950 version, I think, of Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. So he used that accent to portray a well-known pirate in a story, and that is what proliferated this classic pirate accent. It's just the guy's accent, right? It doesn't have to do with pirates at all. Hey, a ring, okay. We actually needed that for our clue. Oh, the poor strange dog, right? Everybody complains that we can't pet him, but honestly, look at him. This is a bare patch of skin. That means this dog has mange, right? He's extremely dangerous. He's obviously covered in flies and fleas. This would have been completely accurate for a medieval treatment of a dog. We romanticize the relationship that fantasy characters in medieval style things had with animals and their dogs. In reality, it would not have been very pleasant, at least not for the average dogs roaming around town. Yes, there would have been sheepdogs, and yes, there would have been dogs that had special positions and had a good life, but a lot just roam the streets. They're not treated well. They're killed when it's convenient. It's not. There were no animal protections. There were no animal rights. Baroque itself has some interesting qualities regarding accuracy to a medieval world. You have the palace, right, and the wall. Back in the day, when they referred to a castle, they didn't mean this thing. This was usually called the dungeon, actually. So when people say, like, oh, they're in the dungeon, they really mean the quote, castle that we would refer to today. A castle would mean all of this entire area. You'd build a small village on a hill and put the dungeon in the middle of it. You'd have two sets of walls like they have here, one on the exterior, one on the interior. The entire thing was called the castle. It was a self-sustaining town that could withstand the siege for many months, because remember that was standard military practice at the time, was to siege an area. You'd cut off supplies like the river into town. You would try to dam this up or poison it. You would stop them from getting access to their farms. Okay, so Varrock's actually in a fair place for a defensible castle. One thing that I will say isn't entirely accurate is that the underground passages beneath a castle would be very clear, highly organized, and usually contain a lot of traps. But realistically, the most dangerous thing would be the things that the castle's inhabitants actually put there. Trap doors, archer slits. Sometimes they would have extremely sloped passageways where they might have water or oil come down. So really the most dangerous thing was not the skeletons and zombies and spiders and all this stuff. It was the people who lived in the castle. They were the most dangerous thing. These underground passages were meant for escape, not for clandestine entry. After today's adventures and a little research, it's clear what I have to do. First, get to 40 mining so I can mine gold for the jewelry on the clue stones. Train melee in preparation for questing and to gather leather. Use that leather to level my crafting, which will let me make leather armor and the jewelry for the clues. Train my fletching by making bronze arrows from the arrow tips I made earlier. Train ranged in preparation for the bone crossbow at the end of the Dorvishan questline. train my agility to 31 and my thieving to 15, and head over to Korend, where I can get the Hosidas house bonus to 15 by tilling soil. From there, I can train my thieving while banking strange fruits. Those fruits will act as my best source of run energy until I can make energy potions. When all that is done, I will complete the prerequisite quests to the Dorgashin and attempt to earn my best in slot ranged weapon and armor for a long time. From there, who knows, maybe Slayer, maybe Herblore. The possibilities are endless, and I hope you join me for more of them. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more.